Celestial bodies suddenly light up, and sometimes for a long time. Often, stars with tails also appear, now in the western sky, now in the eastern sky, as well as lightning, torches, whirlwinds and weapons, which are called fiery shields, and all of them are omens of great calamities.
This is the testimony of Pliny the Elder, a philosopher who lived between 23 and 79 AD in Italy. His testimony, along with that of many others, is very interesting because it tells us about the existence of mysterious phenomena that occurred in the skies, even in ancient times. We can consider it as one of the earliest accounts of unidentified object sightings. But as we will see later, this is only a small part of a vast body of documentation on the phenomenon. Until just a few years ago, those who talked about UFOs were often met with mocking smiles. Today, the phenomenon has taken a completely different turn. In recent years, opinions on this unknown phenomenon have radically changed, and very interesting documents have come to light that shed new light on the whole issue. But what is happening in the world of ufology? Today, we will take stock of the phenomenon of unidentified objects and see how it has evolved from a frequently ridiculed topic into a hotly debated subject that opens up entirely new possibilities. Before we embark on this journey, as we always do, and if you haven't done so yet, we invite you to subscribe to the channel to support our work.
In Spoleto, a golden fireball descended to the ground and, as it grew larger, appeared to move. After lifting off the ground, the fireball headed east, obscuring the sun with its size.
The UFO phenomenon is a very complex subject, often unfairly subjected to prejudice and easy mockery. However, many researchers have dedicated their attention to it over the years. For example, consider that the study of ancient testimonies of unidentified objects has become a true discipline known as clipiology. The name derives from clipius, the round shield used by the Roman Empire's militias. Clipius ardens, or fiery shield, was also the term used by ancient witnesses of the classical era to describe the unusual phenomena they observed, which were far from rare. As you have seen, we opened the video with the words of Pliny the Elder, but this is certainly not the only testimony from the classical era. Similar accounts come from Diodorus Siculus, Livy, Aeschylus, and Plutarch. They describe the presence of menacing discs hovering in the skies, mysterious objects that terrorize the astonished onlookers. The description of such phenomena continues over the years and extends throughout the Middle Ages. In 1290, we have the testimony of the monks of Ampleforth Abbey in England, who recount an incredible sighting.
While Abbot Henry was preparing to recite the afternoon prayers, Brother John came to announce that a great prodigy was manifesting outside. So they all went out, and behold, a large silver thing, round like a flying disc, hovered above them, causing the most intense terror.
But this is nothing compared to what happened in Nuremberg on April 14, 1561, when a great number of people witnessed a terrifying spectacle. The sky suddenly filled with cylindrical objects from which white, red, black, orange, and blue discs and orbs emerged. In addition to this, the sky was filled with objects shaped like crosses and tubes, resembling cannon barrels, which also appeared after the objects began to engage in combat with each other. As a testament to this extraordinary event, Hans Glaser depicted what men saw in a 16th century woodcut. This event is known as the Nuremberg celestial phenomenon, and over the years has sparked lively debates. According to detractors, this could have been a natural phenomenon, specifically citing the parhelion, an atmospheric phenomenon caused by the refraction of sunlight by small ice crystals. However, this explanation clashes with everything that the witnesses of those events claim to have seen.
The sky seemed to fill with cylindrical objects from which white, red, black, orange and blue discs and orbs emerged. Even crosses and tubes resembling cannon barrels appeared, after which the objects promptly began to engage in combat with each other. After about an hour of battle, some of these objects appeared to catch fire and fall to the earth, where they transformed into vapor.
But we don't just have written accounts. There are also numerous depictions created over the years, such as the 15th century painting by an unknown artist known as the Madonna of San Giovannino. In this painting, housed at Palazzo Vecchio in Florence, a disc with radiant lights can be seen in the sky behind Mary, while it is observed by a man and his dog. This image, on the other hand, is from a 12th century manuscript called Annales Loricenses and refers to a flying object sighted in the year 776 during the siege of a French militia. In those days, the Saxons surrounded and besieged the French forces. But while the armies were engaged in combat, a group of fiery shields suddenly appeared above the roof of a church near the battlefield. To the Saxons, it appeared as if the French were protected by these mysterious and frightening objects, so they fled in retreat. Another mysterious fresco was painted in 1350 by a Serbian artist and is preserved in a monastery in the region. Here, we see the crucifixion scene, and to the right and left of the painting, two curious images appear, seemingly representing two flying discs, within which anthropomorphic figures appear. What we've seen are just a few of the myriad pieces of information and testimonies that can be found by delving into ancient texts and depictions from the past. Now, someone may certainly argue that all of this can be easily dismissed by claiming that these testimonies are merely the result of natural events, phenomena that people of the time did not understand and therefore couldn't interpret, and perhaps they were later reinterpreted and reworked by witnesses of the time through their imagination and cultural background. But clearly, those who make this claim deliberately overlook the fact that people of that era observed the sky much more than we do. They knew constellations, stars, and this was because, in addition to appearing as a magnificent spectacle, the sky and stars were used by them for navigation, for regulating agricultural cycles, and for keeping track of time. Nevertheless, let's assume for a moment that all the witnesses of these extraordinary events were simpletons. Now, let's set aside these historical testimonies for the time being and return to them later in the video, as we jump forward in time to the present day.
Following concerning reports from multiple esteemed and credentialed current and former military and intelligence community individuals that the U.S. government is operating with secrecy above congressional oversight with regards to UAPs. My testimony is based on information I've been given by individuals with a long-standing track record of legitimacy and service to this country. Many of whom also have shared compelling evidence in the form of photography, official documentation, and classified oral testimony to myself and my various colleagues. I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, to which I was denied access to those additional read-ons when I requested it.
These are the statements of David Grush, a former U.S. intelligence official who testified before the U.S. Congress in July 2023. Grush not only asserted that the U.S. government is aware of the true nature of unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, but also that it is using what appears to be advanced technology for reverse engineering, meaning the study of these objects to recreate them and gain a technological advantage. Furthermore, the intelligence official also claimed that the U.S. government possesses biological remains recovered during incidents involving unidentified objects, and these remains certainly have a non-human origin. Clearly, these claims have circulated worldwide and have sparked various reactions. However, the most interesting point is not the usual denials or dismissals. The real question is, how did we go from denying and ridiculing the UFO phenomenon to a congressional hearing in the United States? And more importantly, why is it only being discussed now? The study of the UFO phenomenon, or UAP as it is now referred to, is a long journey that began at the end of World War II. Between 1947 and 1969, the U.S. Air Force documented 12,618 UFO sightings as part of Project Blue Book, including observations of lights, objects, and anomalous radar readings. These sightings were reported by a variety of sources, including military and civilian pilots, weather observers, and astronomers. Despite this extensive documentation, the project was closed in 1969 following a study by the University of Colorado, which concluded that there was no evidence that UFOs originated from other worlds, attributing most sightings to natural phenomena or hoaxes. However, the denial of the problem did not stop sightings, which continued over the years worldwide, with an increasing number of witnesses being individuals with solid reputations. Something in the UFO phenomenon narrative began to change in the early 2000s, when the testimonies of two U.S. Navy pilots who observed a mysterious oval-shaped object flying over the skies of San Diego were made public. It was during these years that the Pentagon initiated a program to identify aerospace threats, although this remained largely unknown to the public. It was only in 2017 that the New York teams revealed the existence of the program, bringing forth additional testimonies and videos from Air Force pilots, clearly showing unidentified objects. During this period, the terminology also shifted from UFO to UAP, from unidentified flying objects to unidentified aerial phenomena, even though the essence of the problem remained much the same as it was half a century ago. Today, we know that at least two investigations are ongoing in the United States, one by the Pentagon and one by NASA. But amidst denials, bombshell statements, and conferences, we have arrived at a conclusion accepted by all. The UAP phenomenon exists. It is real, and it deserves further investigation. If these statements disappointed those who expected the definitive announcement of the presence of alien visitors on our planet, these admissions have nevertheless completely changed the paradigm on the UFO issue. Listen, for example, to this famous interview with former President Obama on The Late Show. The conversation begins with the usual tone of humor, but then it takes a different turn, and the former president states,
"Now, I'm being serious. There are videos and recordings of objects in the skies that we don't exactly know what they are. We can't explain how they move. Their trajectory doesn't follow an easily explainable pattern, and therefore, I believe that we should take the effort to investigate and understand what they are very seriously."
The testimonies we've seen in recent years leave little to the imagination. Unidentified aerial phenomena have been captured quite clearly in videos and recordings, performing movements and maneuvers that have little to do with natural events, but rather suggest precise actions guided by some form of intelligence. For example, consider the images initially released by documentarian Jeremy Corbell and later confirmed by the Pentagon. These images clearly show an unidentified object flying over the ocean, coming to a halt, and eventually submerging into the water. So, after so many years, if we have reached the point of acknowledging that the phenomenon of unidentified flying objects is real, we must ask ourselves, what are these UAPs? The prevailing theory is that they represent advanced human-made technology, specifically of a military nature. However, this hypothesis may have had some basis in the immediate post-World War II and Cold War eras, but after half a century, it no longer seems plausible. If we were capable of creating such aircraft 50 years ago, why is there still no trace of them today? Moreover, we are living in times of conflict, intimidation, and power games among nations, making it an ideal moment to unveil this purported advanced technology and say, "Here, ladies and gentlemen, we have these weapons. So, either you do as we say, or there will be consequences." Additionally, we must consider that sightings of mysterious objects in the skies, resembling what we continue to see today, date back centuries and are deeply embedded in history. If we now believe that these objects genuinely exist, why should we exclude the possibility that those sighted in the past were real as well? Furthermore, if we delve into ancient texts from almost every culture around the world, there are relatively clear accounts of encounters with mysterious entities possessing extraordinary knowledge and abilities. In light of what we now know, could these ancient texts take on new meanings? One possible answer to this question may come from Mexico. On September 13, 2023, during a conference organized by the Mexican Parliament, the latest developments in ufology were discussed, and at the same time, some witnesses from the US Navy were heard. However, journalist Jaime Maussan, during his presentation, astonished the world by unexpectedly presenting the mummified bodies of two beings, which he declared to be non-human in nature. The news quickly circulated worldwide, even though some questionable aspects of the journalist's history cast a shadow on what should have been a sensational revelation. To clarify, it should be mentioned that the matter is actually much more complex than how it was portrayed by the media. For now, let's focus on the facts of what happened and analyze some very intriguing aspects of this discovery together with you. During the conference, Maussan presented two mummies, which were dated through carbon-14 analysis by the Autonomous University of Mexico to be approximately 1,000 years old. However, the university clarified that it had not analyzed the mummies themselves, but only a sample that presumably belonged to them, a fact confirmed by Maussan himself. The most significant surprise came from the DNA analysis, supposedly conducted by a Canadian laboratory, which estimated at least 30% of unknown DNA, meaning it was unrelated to anything we know. Maussan also claimed that the DNA results are public, and anyone interested could analyze them. However, he asserted that this has not happened so far, as the focus has been on criticizing him personally.
Anyone who delves into this phenomenon is questioned and attacked. This happens because the most important thing is to discredit the messenger, because on many occasions this is how they put an end to the most sensational cases, not by attacking the evidence but by attacking the one presenting it. DNA is evidence, and we have made the results available, but to date, none of the detractors have analyzed it. This is because analyzing the DNA and acknowledging the results would mean proving the authenticity of the discovery.
Initially, it was hypothesized that the mummies were simple assemblies, meaning that the remains of different animals were used to create these particular bodies. However, analyses conducted by José de Jesus Salce Benítez, a forensic doctor from the Mexican Navy who used techniques such as computerized tomography and X-ray radiography, ruled out this possibility. The bodies are intact and do not appear to have undergone manipulations. From the analysis of the mummies, two other very unusual aspects emerged. The skin of the fingers would have fingerprints, but these are not like the ones we are familiar with. Instead, they would have a horizontal extension. Furthermore, metal implants were found in the bodies of the mummies. Once analyzed, these implants yielded another curious result. The implants would have been made from very rare alloys, particularly osmium. Osmium belongs to the platinum group of metals and is one of the hardest and most resistant metals known to us. This particular metal was only discovered in the 19th century by the English chemist Smithson Tennant. Therefore, it is a relatively recent discovery. If the age of the mummies, as suggested by the carbon-14 analysis conducted by the Mexican University, is confirmed, the presence of these metals inside these bodies would indeed be challenging to explain.
These specimens are not part of our world's evolution. They were not recovered from the wreckage of an extraterrestrial spacecraft. They were found fossilized in a diatomaceous earth mine, a type of algae that prevents the growth of bacteria and fungi.
The mummies were allegedly discovered in 2017 at an archaeological site near Cusco in Peru and were only brought to Mexico later. This admission led to a lawsuit against Maussan by the Peruvian Minister of Culture, accusing him of having taken an archaeological artifact from the country without any authorization. However, Maussan stated that he would soon clarify how he came into possession of the remains. At the moment, the judgment on this discovery is suspended, and we do not know for certain whether the mummies found by Maussan are genuine or false. We await further developments. Clearly, if the authenticity of the discovery were confirmed, it would be something incredible and could represent the missing piece that connects the history of humanity to beings from a place beyond our Earth. While waiting for further answers from Mexico, we cannot ignore the fact that the field of ufology has seen a radical shift in paradigm in recent years, moving from complete denial of the problem to an unexpected institutional openness. At this point, the most important question remains: what are these mysterious unidentified objects? If they are real, what is the true nature of these unknown phenomena? Are they representatives of civilizations that have thrived on planets other than ours? Or are they evidence of something we can hardly even imagine? Now, we are genuinely curious to hear your opinion and delve deeper into this fascinating topic together with you. If you enjoyed the video and appreciate our work, don't forget to subscribe to the channel because your support is essential to us.